Bante, good evening. Sugyoto. Can I ask about this jhana, where the two teachers of Gautama Buddha, Alara and Buddhaka, who have attained 7 and 8 jhana, were they Aryas before Buddha attained enlightenment? And if they were Aryas, and okay, let me just Bante just help me to answer the first question first. Thank you.
Were they Arya? They could not have been Arya, otherwise the Buddha would not have left them. The Bodhisattva would not have left them. It is because they had no good Dhamma to teach. They could only teach meditation. So the Buddha realized that he cannot become enlightened just by meditation. So the Buddha left.
That means by attaining the 7 and 8 jhana also cannot be enlightened.
Because the 7 and 8 jhana is only one factor of the Aryan Eightfold Path. Aryan Eightfold Path has 8 factors. You need 8 factors to become an Arahant. You cannot just cultivate one factor and expect to be an Arahant. But that doesn't mean that because of that you don't need the jhanas. It's just like sila. Sila is one of the conditions. See, right, for example, right speech. But by right speech alone, you cannot become an Arahant. But that does not mean you don't need right speech.
Thank you, Bante. And then in the Noble Eightfold Path, there's Samma Sati and Samma Samadhi. But there's no Samma Jhana. Okay. Please explain. Thank you.
Samma Samadhi is the 4 jhanas. In fact, in the Majjhima Nikaya, Venerable Ananda was asked what type of meditation is praised by the Buddha. And what did he say? He said the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. So in the early suttas, this is meditation. Meditation is the 4 jhanas. That's why when we say in Chinese meditation, we say what? Zhuo Chan. Yeah? Zhuo is sit and Chan is jhana. So sitting to attain jhana, that is meditation. Now vipassana during the Buddha's time consists of 2 factors of the Aryan Eightfold Path. The 6th and the 7th factor. Right effort and right mindfulness. Right effort is to get rid of unwholesome states and to cultivate wholesome states. And that is most important because the Buddha said it is these unwholesome states that bring us to the woeful plains of rebirth. To the animal, the ghosts and the hell realm. And it is these wholesome states that bring us up. Now to practice right effort, you need Samma Sati. You need to contemplate the nature of your body, your feelings and your mind. And listen to Dhamma. When you listen to Dhamma, there is also Samma Sati. Because Sati has 4 factors. Dhamma is one of them. Okay? So, Vipassana during the Buddha's time is practicing this. That's why it's called Dhamma Nu Dhamma Patipatti. This 6th and the 7th factor. So, in everyday life, say for example in your working life, you get angry with somebody, you must notice. But you cannot be noticing your feeling all the time. If you are noticing your feeling all the time, Han Bo Chia. Yeah. So your mind also, you cannot be looking into your mind all the time. But if some improper thoughts come into your mind, for example, arrogant thought, or jealous thought, or sensual thought or something, then you have to notice. When you do that, when you can notice these, you will notice your faults, then only you can change your character. If you cannot notice your faults, you will never change your character. A lot of people never look inwards, never look at their faults. So when you try to help them by telling them their faults, they get angry. So during the Buddha's time, Vipassana was not a meditation. It was an everyday practice. Like nowadays, Sayadaw U Tejaniya say, practice it with your eyes open.
I will now read out some of the questions we received earlier through the WhatsApp. The first question is, there are some who hold the belief that the practice of meditation hinders one's study of the Dhamma, the Suttas. There are some who hold the belief that the practice of meditation hinders one's study of the Dhamma. Can you comment on this?
This opinion that the meditation hinders the study of the Dhamma, some people have the opposite thinking. They think study of the Dhamma hinders their meditation. That's enough. So it's all opinion. In the suttas, the Buddha said two things contribute to knowledge or wisdom: samatha and vipassana. So samatha is meditation during the Buddha's time. Vipassana, as I mentioned just now, is the sixth and the seventh factor, and that means that includes the study of the Dhamma, because study of the Dhamma or listening to the Dhamma is one of the objects of sati. Yeah. So both are needed. You cannot do with one.
The second question will be about the doctrine of anatta, no self. Someone once said, if there is no I, no me, let me give you a punch in the nose. And then you tell me, if there is no you to feel the pain. But can you kind of explain how the doctrine of no self is to be understood?
Okay, this no self is the usual translation of the word anatta. But we have to be very careful with translations. Basically, anatta means there's no thing that is permanent, that is unchanging, that is not dependent on conditions. There's no such thing in the world. Everything is a flux of energy. So, that is the meaning of anatta. Sometimes people say no soul. But also that word soul, you have to be very careful. Because the soul, if you look into the dictionary, as I have done, the soul is the spiritual part of man. And it says, often assumed to be permanent. So it is not necessary that a soul is permanent. In the Christian religion and in the Islam, the soul is permanent, everlasting. But I believe in the soul. And for me, the Buddhist soul is not everlasting. It's the spiritual part of man. The spiritual part of us. This one I can explain later. So, the Buddha is called the awakened one. And in the suttas, the Buddha said the all is in the six senses. The whole world is in the six senses. Because the whole world is actually what? Nama-rupa. Nama-rupa and vijnana, consciousness, arise together and cease together. So Nama-rupa is the object of consciousness. And the object of consciousness has two parts. One is the physical world. The second is the mental world. Our our feelings, other people's feelings, our thoughts, other people's thoughts, etc. So that is the meaning of Nama Rupa. So the whole world is Nama Rupa, and this Nama Rupa exists in consciousness. If there is no consciousness, there is no world. Yeah. So the world, being in consciousness, is like a dream. When we dream at night, do we know that we are dreaming? We don't realize. Yeah. Everything is so real as now. But when you wake up, then only you realize it's a dream. So life is like that. Now everything is so real. But when we are about to die, what happens? This world starts to fade. And then you see another world coming up. Changing channel from 3 to 7. So we have been on this channel for some time. The time will come, then we have to change our channel. So, when a person is about to die, then you probably see, this world is like a dream. So it's the same with some monks. They attain cessation of perception and feeling. And they go into this state, a maximum of 7 days, where consciousness ceases. When they come out of this state, then they realize, just now, for the last few days, the whole world disappeared. Now when the consciousness comes back, and then the world arises in the consciousness. Then it becomes very clear to him that this world is like a dream only, and he becomes an arahant. So, we have not woken up yet, we are still in that dream. So because we are still in that dream, we have that I, that self. This is the conventional self. So because we still have the I, the Buddha talks about karma vipaka, karma and its effect. So the Buddha says you have to be very careful of your karma. Because if you are not careful, you create evil karma, you may land in the awful plains of rebirth. So as long as we have not awakened, everything in this world is real to us. So in the Magandhya Sutta, in the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha said that we have been fooled by our mind, tricked by our mind for a long, long time. We have been believing our mind. We have been believing our six senses. Everything that we see, we hear, etc., we think is so real. For example, we see the world out there and we think the world is out there. But actually when you analyze, the world that we see is because of the light impinging on our eyes, on the retina, and then the consciousness arises. And that consciousness is the one that is aware of that world. Yeah. So what we see is not outside. What we see is in our consciousness, in our mind. Yeah. So because we have not awakened, so everything is real to us. Just like in your dream, In your dream you can also get a punch and you feel it. Yeah. And sometimes in your dream, you fall, or you fall down a slope or something. It's so real. Okay?
Alright. The following question is, a lot of us Buddhists have learned and understand Dhamma, but why are we still cannot let go and still attached so hard to our own self, own body, and also sensual pleasure?
We have learned, but we have not understood Dhamma. If you understood Dhamma, you'll be an Arya. And you're on your way out, you start to let go. So, there are 5 things called the 5 hindrances that cover us and make us blur. Sensual, desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry and doubt. So for some people, these 5 things can be very heavy. For example, you read in the newspapers, an old man raped the granddaughter or something. That is because the mind is obsessed by the 5 hindrances. He cannot control himself. So we need to get rid of these 5 hindrances. And in the suttas, the Buddha said, the cousin of the Buddha, Mahanama, came to ask a similar question. He said, Bhagavan, I have been learning the Dhamma for so long, but sometimes greed, hate and delusion still overcome my mind. And the Buddha said, as long as you have not attained piti and sukha, that means the jhanas, you will still be attracted by sensual pleasures. Because sensual pleasures is satisfying and we want it mainly because the world is dukkha. Most of the time we are distracted by pleasant things here and there that we don't notice the dukkha. But suppose you are made to stay in your house, don't go out, not allowed to go out every day, and there's no TV to entertain you, no internet. Then you become so bored, When I was a young bachelor, after I come back from work, I look at the 4 walls and I think I'm going crazy. I must go out. So it's like this, And you have nothing to entertain you. You find you're so bored, you're so restless. You need something to distract you. That's why the Buddha said, the only thing that can distract us from dukkha is sensual pleasures, unless you know of a higher happiness, a higher pleasure. And that, the Buddha said, is a pleasure from jhana. Once you have attained the pleasure from jhana, which is higher than even the happiness of some devas, then the Buddha said you can let go of sensual pleasures. And the Buddha said, just like a person who in the human life, he enjoyed life very much, but because he did a lot of good karma, he's reborn in heaven. And when he's reborn in heaven, he looks down on his old friend enjoying sensual pleasures in the human realm. Would he be jealous? He won't be jealous because he's enjoying a more superior happiness, enjoyment. So in the same way, when you can attain the bliss from meditation, then only you can let go. So nature has made beings with the self, and that is for self-preservation. So we find all beings, if you have awareness of a self, you fight for survival. That is a trick nature has put. It's very hard to overcome this self. Only Dhamma, and once you know some basic Dhamma, then you learn meditation to try to reduce your 5 hindrances. Then you see things more clearly. Then you can progress.
The related question here. We are taught to restrain in our 6 senses. Does that mean, as a Buddhist, we must not have any hobbies, since most hobbies are directly related to our 6 senses?
Not really, because the Buddha did not say that we should not have any desires. The Buddha did not say that we should not have any enjoyment. The Buddha said, if your desire is such that it leads to suffering, you should not want it. But if you have that kind of desire which does not lead to suffering, it's alright. So same with hobby. If you have the kind of harmless hobby, it's okay. For example, you like to go swimming or you like to go bicycling, it's good for you because you need exercise. But if you want to make a hobby or chasing after people's wives, then there's no good. So some hobbies are harmless, some are not.
Alright. Then the next question is, how do you define early Buddhists? texts. How do we know which suttas belongs to the early Buddhist texts?
Just now I mentioned that early Buddhism is the 5 Nikayas, the 5 collections of discourses of the Buddha. And the first 4, the Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, and Anguttara Nikaya, these were the earlier 4. And the later compilation is called the Khuddaka Nikaya. Khuddaka means minor or small. So Khuddaka started as a small collection because they earlier they had not put it into the 4 Nikayas, and then later they found these suttas and then they put them in the 5th. But if you have studied the 4 early Nikayas, then you will understand the basic teachings in the 4 Nikayas. So when you study the 5th Nikaya, the Khuddaka Nikaya, then you can know that some are later, some are earlier. For example, those paritas, a lot of the chants came later. It was not during the Buddha's time. So in the Khuddaka Nikaya, basically 6 books can be accepted because they do not contradict the early 4 Nikayas. The 6 books are the Dhammapada, the Udana, Itivuttaka, Sutta Nipata, Theragatha, Therigata. These are the 6 books. So this is early Buddhist text, the 4 Nikayas plus 6 books of the Khuddaka Nikaya.
Right, thank you. We move on to the other written question. When a being is reborn in hell, will his deeds be made known to him while he is being subjected to the sufferings he has to endure in that realm?
Yes, in the suttas, the Buddha did say that when you fall into hell and you are suffering, you will know why you are suffering in hell. I think instead of going through those, if people have questions to ask, we give preference to people.
Good evening, Bhante. My question is pertaining to the night of Buddha enlightenment, in which he attained the 4 jhana and 3 knowledges. May I know the 3 knowledges arise after coming out of the jhana or in the jhana?
The first knowledge is knowledge of past lives, and that comes from the 4 jhanas. Because when you attain the 4th jhana, it is said in the description of the 4th jhana that you have utter purity of sati and upekka. When a person attains the 4th jhana, he has perfect sati. Sati is recollection or mindfulness and equanimity. So when he comes out of the 4th jhana, the mind is so clear and he can remember the past lives. So these knowledges come after the 4th jhana. Because in the suttas, the Buddha said, when a person has attained the 4 jhanas, the whole body lights up from the top of the head down to his toes. He emits light, and that is a condition for knowing and seeing things very clearly. So when he comes out of the 4th jhana, the Buddha says when he directs his mind to know anything, he will know very clearly. This is why the Anagamin and the Arahant, because they have the 4 jhanas, the Buddha says they have Asapanya and Javana Panya, basically meaning sharp wisdom and profound wisdom.
So the instruction of Asava is after the coming out from the 4th jhana.
Yes. In the suttas, the Buddha mentioned Asava destruction, I say, depends on the first jhana, depends on the second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. The Buddha said very clearly, you cannot attain arahanthood without the four jhanas.
Thank you.